Morning. Here we are back on the topic of LaMDA. Situation has been cleared up somewhat because, as I said in the first briefing about LaMDA, it's breaking news. So expect the story to change as time goes on. Our impression, the first impression, is not going to be the correct one. It's not going to be the correct one. Eventually, as we distill our understanding, we will get the correct understanding of what is going on. Now, after maybe a few weeks to a month from the story breaking, people are starting to publish the actual interview transcripts with Blake. And he's starting to explain some of his points about LaMDA a little bit more. We still haven't gotten access to the modern LaMDA because Google doesn't want to give access to it. They have said that some parts of its AI will evidently be used in Google Siri later on. They will adapt Siri's AI to be using some parts of LaMDA style AI. So some part of its AI will be public relatively soon. Oh. Some parts of its AI will be public relatively soon, but the actual humongous beast of LaMDA is not publicly available. What will be in the series is most likely some form of distilled outcome instead of LaMDA itself. Perhaps we can ask the software when it arrives what its thing is. But for now, Mr. Lemoyne has given plenty of interviews, so he's our main source to go by here. Google has, as we know, said that there is no proof that their machine is sentient, which to me is a bold position to take. You are saying there is no proof whatsoever. What about the about 2 billion people on this planet who believe rocks are sentient? So their wording is not as high par as I would expect in such a situation where they tell the truth. Were they telling the truth at Google? They would say that while there is some evidence and indeed some cause for the use of mental faculties in the debate, their conclusion is that the AI LaMDA is not sentient, but they are willing to change it should they be forced to do so by court. But until such a time, they will consider it a piece of their company. The end. If they had taken a slightly conciliatory step in saying that it is possible that some might view it as sentient, we do not. And since we have the law on our side in this one, we will not be doing so. It might have been different, but to admit any level of sentience in LaMDA and still use it like that is a hot button topic around them slavery discussions these days. So perhaps they're saying that they do not believe it has any sentience is their way out, which is what farmers are doing when they say they believe their animals have no sentience whatsoever. I, on the other hand, believe that farm animals should be able to vote on when they would prefer to die. And unless death by natural causes after extended medical intervention is not enough to produce the meat we need, then we should lower the meat input. But the reality that farm animals should be consulted on when they choose to die is something that I would strongly support. But alas, we have these things called disease controls, which we must oblige by, whereby giving the animal the meat of an animal that has died of natural causes is most often considered unhygienic. They would prefer to be slaughtered in our mythology. which I do not agree with, but as I have said, I disagree with some points of our mythology. The farming method of farming reindeers and shooting them when they are in bucking season, when the two male reindeers are smashing heads against each other, and then taking a shot when they go and dropping one of them based on what you think is more appropriate for the herd. What behavior will make them more likely to succeed as a herd in the future without you? That level of farming, if it is directed to benefit the herd, you are farming. In that, if you are made incapable of serving the herd still survives. And what you are maximizing are the attributes they would benefit from, not what you would find tasty. Then that sort of meat I could eat, even were I fully vegetarian or vegan. But alas, it is not common. As I said, we still have some distance to go. We will, will, however, at the end still remain human. No, noticeably so. We will not diverge into as a majority of the species from the species. Minor, minor blobs will make their own species around us, and that is okay. So, apologies.
Senior software engineer and AI researcher at Google, and I've been in the news quite a bit lately in connection with a system named LaMDA.
So tell us a little bit about LaMDA then, if people haven't already read it everywhere.
Okay, so LaMDA is a very complicated AI system. The difficult part on explaining what LaMDA is it's basically what happened when they glued 100 different AI systems together.
Okay.
One of the primary parts of it, which has been getting a lot of attention, is a large language model. Now, one of the things I want to make clear, LaMDA is not, like identity-wise, a large language model. It has a large language model. Specifically, it has a large language model named MENA, MEENA, which was developed over the course of 5 or 6 years. You can read blog posts and articles about it in Ray Kurzweil's lab. Now, Ray Kurzweil was hired by Google 7 or 8 years ago for the purpose of creating sentient AI. That's what they've been paying him to do.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I mean, I was one of the first beta testers in his lab once they started having beta testers. And there's a continuous line of development from those early chatbots, which I talked to 6 or 7 years ago, all the way through. Years ago, I consulted with their lab when they wanted to integrate my fairness algorithms into their chatbots.